I'm finally wearing my t-shirt at the right month. Never underestimate an old lady who reads a lot of books and was born in August. And there's also something else about this t-shirt and my comfort collection of reading. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning me in. I am wearing, yes, my old lady t-shirt, which is never underestimate an old lady who reads a lot of books and was born in August, but it has also another meaning because green is the birthstone of the peridot, and the peridot is green. So this is even more specific than I thought. So today I'm going to show you a collection, part of my collection of comfort reads with a twist, but I'll get to that in a moment. I want to thank everyone who has wished me, was worried about me because I live in Hawaii and we've gone through some terrible tragedy of losing so many people and animals and land in Lahaina. And I had just gotten out of a reading slump and was starting to read again, and this put me back into a reading slump. But like I said, with a twist, because I was able to read, but not as much books. So what am I reading? Well, like I said, I just finished a buddy read, so I was looking for another book to read, and I got this book, which is The Only Woman in the Room. It's a novel, historical fiction, by Marie Benedict. If you don't know who Marie Benedict is, she wrote did she write the other Mrs. Christie? Yeah. She also wrote The Only Woman in the this is The Only Woman in the Room. Carnegie's Maid and The Other Einstein. But she also wrote about a secretary, and it evades me right now about what that book was. But I did not really enjoy the other Mrs. Christie, and my good friend Janelle, who passed away, also felt the same way. So I started this book with some trepidation, and it's first person, which I liked, but I didn't like the first sentence. You know, it says, Vienna, Austria, May 17th, 1933. Did like that. It says, my lids fluttered open, but the floodlights blinded me for a moment. Placing a discreet, steadying hand on my co-star's arm, I willed a confident smile upon my lips while I waited for my vision to clear. Actually, while reading it, I didn't really hate it that much the second time I read it. So this book is about Hedy Lamarr. And if you don't know anything about Hedy Lamarr, she was a very famous actress in her own country. I think it was Austria. Yeah, Austria. And also she was a scientist who invented something that's like the precursor for a lot of scientific enhancements that we have today. And I thought it was Bluetooth, or it was something on smartphones before that came out. She was very smart. And she also happened to be Jewish in Austria, which I don't think was a very good time to be Jewish in Austria. So it says here, her beauty almost certainly saved her from the rising Nazi party and led to marriage with an Austrian arms dealer. She overheard the Third Reich's plans while at her husband's side. And I think this is telling too much. Well, then she ended up in Hollywood and became Hedy Lamarr, the screen star. And she knew secrets about the enemy, and she would that she had an idea that might help the country. And I'm wondering if that's where uh, her scientific inventions were started. But I heard that this was only a book about her early life. And yeah, I kind of wanted to know more about the scientific part of things. So let's see how I get along with this book. It's a library book, so I might not be able to take it on my trip. Yes, I'm leaving. I'm leaving on Sunday, and today is Friday. I'm losing track of the time. And I'll get back into that a little later. But let me tell you what else I'm reading. So as I told you on my last video, the Case of the Haunted Husband was the winner of Choose a Book for My Vacation. But a good friend of mine sent it to me on Kindle. So even though this is light, I realized I don't have any room. And I'm also might take, if I can find room for this, Appointment with Death, which is by Agatha Christie. I'm sure I read it, but maybe a half a century ago. It sounds horrible, but wonderful. Okay, so yeah, I felt like I couldn't really start reading. Maybe that's why the Marie Benedict book wasn't sitting well with me. I don't really love her style of writing, but maybe this one will be one because I really am interested in Hedy Lamarr. I thought she's so beautiful, and she was so beautiful and intelligent, and just such if she was, here today, she would have been acknowledged for all her brains as well as her beauty. But it was her beauty that was what shot her to fame. And also, I heard she wasn't that wonderful an actress, maybe a little wooden. If you've seen a Hedy Lamarr film, let me know down in the comments. Okay, now to the meat of my video. So what do I do when I'm in a slump and I can't read? Well, I can't read books, but I always can read a magazine. So welcome to my collection of unusual magazines, or collectibles, I like to say. And so this is a collection of magazines that I can't seem to throw away because they comfort me and I reread them. And some of them you can't even buy today, except maybe on eBay. So let me start with one of my most unusual magazines that was given to me when I was a teacher in Kobe, Japan, by one of my students. And it's in English and Japanese. It's called United World. And it is the premiere issue she gave me. So I wonder if they're still printing this. And it's about natural health, personal growth, and metaphysics. So that's interesting. Honoring the vision of United Spirits. That might not have translated that well, but it is in English. And it's in, I don't know if you can see this, but it's English and Japanese. So, which is kanji. So what? Harmony, warm healing water. This is a beautiful photo. So let me see if I can get this on. This is why I don't edit, right? Okay. So I like to look at magazines that are different, or that can help me in some way. But just like, here's an English title, of course in Japanese too. It's There's More to Life Than Making It Go Faster. Balancing your desire to enjoy life with your need to achieve, which of course really is tailored to the Japanese way of life as well as the American way of life. And yeah, I'm not throwing this away because it was a gift when I was teaching in Japan from a person who became a personal friend. Okay, so I talked about Writer's Digest before, and I'm not writing at the moment, but I I am a writer, and even if you're not a writer, this is a good book of because I found new authors. Here's one who his name is Marlon James. He's on the cover, and he's the Booker Prize winning author. Talks about mythology and world building in his character driven epic. And when you go to, he's a Jamaican author. He has his picture, and he won the Booker Prize for a brief history of 7 killings about the death of Bob Marley. But he also wrote the Book of Night Women, the brief that's the brief history, Black Leopard, Red Wolf. And his character-driven epic Moon Witch, Spider King, the second book in his Death Star trilogy. I don't read fantasy, but yeah, these are new authors that you can find by reading Writer's Digest. Reading diet, right? Writer's Digest. And another, of course, when you're a booktuber, you hear about books that you might not want to read, or you just hear the name over and over, and you remember. And this is Brandon Taylor. He wrote Filthy Animals, and he won a lot of prizes too. And his new book is I don't know how new this is, because this copy was, this is June 7th, 2023, so it's not too far behind. His new book is The Late Americans. And I remember Filthy Animals on BookTube. So he, like I said, he was shortlisted for the 2020 Booker Prize. And so Real Life was published weeks before mass shutdowns in the early months of 2020. He assumed the book would be received quietly. It's about a scientist in the Midwest. Nobody really cares about that. And yet his modest expectations were to be proved wrong, with the book receiving universal acclaim and reviews in the New Yorker, Online, Time Magazine, the Washington Post, and the New York Times. And I'm going to get back into Writer's Digest, but I'm going to do a change of pace here. And what else comforts me? Cooking. And here's a magazine that I picked up at the library for free. And so Michelle Obama celebrates the 5th anniversary of Let's Move. So this was a way back. And I don't know about you, but just reading about food and cooking healthy gives me ideas, because I want to be healthy, especially going into my 73rd year. So, yeah, this one has a lot of beautiful recipes, and I consider myself a pretty good cook. And this is not only vegetarian, because this one is fork tender beef and veggies. Set it and forget it. Slow cooker works its magic. I'm not a slow cooker kind of person. I'm a slow cooker in the sense that I put something on the stove and slow cook it. But it looks really good. I haven't been eating for the last couple of years any beef, but I started eating a little bit, small amounts of beef, because I'm going to places, I'm traveling on Sunday to places where they're big meat eaters, and I might be partaking of the meat. I don't eat, for sure, I don't eat pork, and I don't eat, what don't I eat? I eat a little lamb and a little bit of beef. If I'm going to eat beef, which is like once a year, and I'm going to Paris, so I'm going to eat butter and beef, but in very small amounts, or I'll get very sick, like I did the last time that I tried to introduce meat into my diet. But I had a small piece of, we went to a Chinese restaurant, and I don't know if they make the beef tender. They have ways of making it, but I didn't get sick at all. But also they give such small portions of the beef, like beef with vegetables, beef with tomato, but it's not a lot of beef. It's not a big steak. And to the other end, here's the Mediterranean diet. And I paid a lot, magazines cost a lot of money. And this one was $12.99. And if you live in Canada, $15.99. But I wouldn't have been able to buy magazines because when I was younger and I couldn't afford books, magazines were my go-to. Now, even Cosmopolitan, but with a caveat, this is when Helen Gurley Brown was the editor of Cosmopolitan, and she started it with the book Sex and the Single Girl. All you oldsters might remember that book. I don't know if I liked the book that much, but I really enjoyed the magazine because it was really not the way Cosmopolitan magazine is now, which is just geared to very frivolous kind of things in my view. Then it was more like a real, newsy magazine and really out to help women, single women, married women at that time. Now it's more about, and they did have beauty and sex things and all that, but they also had good writers that would write really interesting articles, if any of you remember. So I really liked this. I picked it up. I thought it was worth it. It says protein-packed morning meals, 29 meatless main dishes. And I am sort of on a Mediterranean diet. I eat a lot of fish and a lot of vegetables. And I also eat whole grains. I stopped eating white bread, white flour things, except for a certain kind of pasta that's made in Italy, it's bronze dried and it's very chewy, and it's not like white flour. And it makes me think of the Melanie song, I don't like white flour, white sugar makes you rot. Oh, white can be beautiful, but sometimes it's not. Melanie was one of really special singers and songwriters in the 60s, if you remember her. And she was a wonderful singer too. So, okay, not to make this too long, my AARP magazine with Michael J. Fox on top of it. And this was from January 2022. And I got this for free at my library. And really, I'm getting to really like the AARP magazine. I don't think I started reading it until I was like 60 something, but they have really good articles. Then another special magazine, it's the Cunarder. And you get this if you go on the Queen Mary 2. And when I was 60, my partner took me on a transatlantic on the Queen Mary 2, which I'll never forget. So they send me the Cunarder, and it has really good articles. This one says, Three Queens Gin. Cheers to gin and fizz. Raise a glass to Queen Victoria's new midships lounge concept. And then they also have, well, let me show it to you first. I'm not a drinker, but when I have a cocktail once a year, it's going to be gin or vodka because I don't like the taste of whiskey. And this one also has on top of on the cover, reflecting on the Falklands, on the anniversary of the conflict, we remember our ships that served. So it's not all about ships, but or all of trying to sell you on things, but it's really interesting. I just can't tell you, and I'm sure they'll send it to you if you want. And these couple, it's a cartoon, and this couple is on the I don't know if you can see it, on the Queen Mary 2, and that's the one I went on. So it says, this beats last year's offsite. So, they don't call me Sherlock for nothing. So I'm trying to think. Oh, so this was, now let me see when this was written, when this was published. No, they're not going to tell me. So if you know what that joke means, let me know. So offsite means that they weren't really going anywhere. Is this, or does this mean something else? So it's, yeah. And they have dogs on the ship, and they talk about dogs. And the new one that I got was Winter 2020. That isn't a new one. Catch the Waves, Discovering New England. It's Showtime. A Passion for Travel. The actress, singer, and director Maria Friedman shares her love of our transatlantic crossing. And this is where I found out that there was one actress, British actress, who actually brought her tea, Yorkshire Gold, with her because they served, oh, it wasn't good enough, their tea. So she had to bring her own tea. And I said, there's oceans of tea on this boat. So Cunard uses Twinings. In fact, there's a little store in London. It's tiny. It's the original store of that brand, but this actress wanted to use Yorkshire Gold. She was from Yorkshire, and I've been drinking it ever since I heard that because it's wonderful. Okay, another magazine that is not even available now and was wonderful while it lasted. I guess they couldn't afford it because it's the Airbnb magazine. And this one has Paris at night. When you get to Paris at night and you don't want to go to bed, you just stay up all night, and this tells you where to go. And this was a beautiful magazine. And it's a little worn for wear because I really read this good. And yeah, it was, and here's a little, I hope to be in soon, a little Paris cafe with a croissant. Yeah, so this was a great magazine. And here's another one, Dream Big in a Tiny House. So they're trying to promote that you can live in you can rent an Airbnb tiny house. So that was great. And here's one about Japan, Timeless Japan. And just beautiful, beautiful photos, I guess. And here's, in fact, it was one of the owners of, I think it was one of the owners, no, not this one, but the owner of Airbnb went, you saw them going to some, out of the way place. But here's a cute photo of Japan that gave me nostalgia. So, yeah. Okay, another magazine. National Geographic. You remember this one? I think it's still being printed. And I got this from the library, and it introduced me to the blue zones. And then I was given a book about the blue zones, The Science of Living Longer and Healthier. That's the trick. And then there's my yoga magazine, Yoga Journal. I don't subscribe, but I get this from time to time from my library. And sometimes I buy it when there's a special issue. I just wanted to show you another Writer's Digest. Here's the author of Pachinko, which was a big hit on BookTube. And it tells all about her and her other books. And I thought this was a really good article. Made me want to read Pachinko, but I didn't get around to it. And this is an interview with Viet Thanh Nguyen, the award-winning author of The Sympathizer. And he wrote also The Committed. So there's an article. So you find new authors and you find new information. Okay, another magazine that I would never have picked up if it wasn't for the title, Smithsonian. So this one has the new Anne Frank on the cover. And I got this at my library. It says The Long Hidden Diary of a Young Polish Woman's Last Days. So it's not Anne Frank, it's someone else. So that was very interesting. And I read that. I remember that. And Adam Sandler on the cover of AARP. Okay, now this one, don't judge me. Shape Magazine. Sometimes when you see a cover that says how to build emotional muscle, you just have to get it. And I got it for free, so I wasn't spending anything. And of course, this is a book that magazine that I bought, and it's called The Complete Guide to Mental Health. And on the cover it says, "Be kind to your mind. simple ways to boost your mood, relieve stress, fight depression, new scientific discoveries. So there's a lot of science stuff that I'm interested in also. Anyway, I have tons more magazines. So why are they comfort magazines? Why are they comfort reads? Because when my mind can't concentrate on a book for more than like 15 minutes, I can always flip through a magazine. And I'm a Prime member on Amazon, and they have magazines, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing. Holding the magazine and touching the glossy pages, not the same thing at all. So I'm not giving up my magazines. So how do you feel about magazines? Do you still buy them, even though they're expensive? Do you keep ones that meant something to you? Let me know down in the comments. So I'm going on a trip, and it's been a very weird time because of the tragedy in Maui. And for people that asked also, they are trying to fix the koa tree. They're not sure if they're going to be able to, but it wasn't burnt down completely. But unfortunately, the remains of the ali'i, which are the royal families that were in Maui and buried there, they're gone, and that is a tragedy for the Hawaiian people, as well as all the people that were lost, all the kapuna, which means older people, as well as young people, of course. But many kapuna just didn't leave their houses. And I can relate to that. And I saw a video on YouTube where they were just driving down the road in Lahaina, which is the west side of Maui. And I live on the west side, as I told you before, of Oahu. And it really reminded me so much of my town, of Makaha and Waianae and Maili and the Waianae coast where I live. Of course, we're a little more built up, and our roads are a little wider. They weren't always wide, but it just looked the same. West sides of islands, and they were just driving down and showing, and I felt such a personal loss, because not only can this happen, because we get wildfires in my side of the island too, but just for the people that lived on the west side of Maui. So if you can give, go to Maui Strong or to the Red Cross, like I said before. And yeah, so on a lighter note, I plan to be with my daughter, my granddaughter, and my son on my birthday. So that's wonderful. And my partner is joining me there on my birthday, because I'm leaving before my birthday. And I'm just hoping for a wonderful time, because if people say, why are you traveling? You have mobility issues. You have other issues. And I say, if not now, when? I love traveling. I love meeting new people. I love seeing places that I've seen before, eating foods that I've eaten before and that I can't eat right now. And I enjoy just living every moment in the moment. And that's what I plan to do. So if you like this video, please subscribe. I plan to do maybe short videos or different kind of videos, and maybe some vlogs. I don't know. I need some help from my daughter, my other daughter. I live with a younger daughter, and I'm going to visit an older daughter. So it's nice to visit my family. It's nice to be here for my family, and they all live in different places. So yeah, I'm happy. So thank you so much for watching. And like I said, if you like anything, please subscribe down below and hit the notification bell. And until then, I'll say aloha no kaoi and aloha kako until we meet again. Bye.